all to say is people can reach out, but we have to re-engage in the election. And I hope that they will see the other folks who are supporting my campaign, who I've had the opportunity to have these long conversations with.
Okay, let's give it a try again.
Right. Well, I'll say I'm proud to have the support of folks like Senator Ana Caballero, Assemblymember Rhodesia Ransom, to have the support of yourself and other local officials within our district, Supervisor Chance Condit. A lot of these questions are complicated. People have a distrust of this system because a lot of people have used it and lied to them. I always try to be honest, courageous, and have integrity. I don't try to go and please everybody with every answer that I've ever had. There's a lot of stuff that I don't know. And immediately before I ran for office and felt compelled to step up, I sold guitar strings. I don't come in knowing all the answers as the expert. I come in to be the most effective representative that I can, which is to actually get the stuff funded and built and done and over the line. So that would be the thing. Besides that, we are working very hard to travel the entire district. This is 7 hours to drive from top to bottom. And so I've been spending a ton of time in the car, a ton of time on the car phone, talking to voters, knocking doors with North Valley Labor Federation. As you know, we've been putting up signs in the community. We've been attending all of the debates. We had some really great televised ones. We've been posting on social media. We're doing everything that we can. But we do need folks to realize that this is a really important election. And I think I don't want to get too much into your last question, which I suspect may be coming up, but
go ahead.
We have a special power with the vote. And if we don't use it, then we don't get our voice heard. And it's natural to feel like, well, I don't think it matters in the presidential race or whoever's going to win in the governor's race. And I'll say it does matter. But for races like mine, for local races too, that impact your life probably more than almost any of those other positions, your one vote could really be the one that actually elects somebody. Mm-hmm. Adam Gray, for a congressional district, was elected by, I believe, 70 votes in the last election in a ballot curing contest. 70 votes, right? That is 70 people. That's one neighborhood that determined who was going to be our representative in Congress. And now more than ever, we need good leaders, but good leaders can't get elected if we don't have folks that show up and vote. You can't counter the money in politics without participating on the other side to make sure that we are organizing and we are putting in our time. And ultimately, we're casting our ballots. So that's my hope. There are 3 candidates in this race. I am running to represent all the folks in the middle that want to see something done, who don't think maybe Democrats or Republicans have a monopoly on all good ideas. I know who I am, and I also try to find compromise in everything except matters of principle, because ultimately, I'm not running to represent Democrats in Senate District 4. I'm running to represent everybody in Senate District 4. I just happen to be a rural Democrat.
Yeah, I think you mentioned something very important, and yes, you kind of answered the last question, but it is very important, and that is why we're doing this, to really give people an opportunity to know the candidate, who they are, at least a little bit in a different way, and not necessarily, have to find a weird way to select a name at the ballot. And it's interesting how you mentioned that every vote it counts. It does, because just like it has happened in past elections, I have run for office 3 different times, and this last time I normally the elections run. The last one was until the election day. I think it was November 4th, and my election was not announced or finalized until December 4th, which is like a month later, because the votes are still counting. It was very close, and yes. I ended up winning that election by 9 votes. 9 votes.
Wow, that's amazing. And it's crazy too with, anybody who's on Facebook or Instagram or whatnot and sees the political conversations, they're passionate. People are upset. They have ideas. I mean, there's an energy there. It's not always fun to have to deal with that. It's a challenge to be online. You got to have pretty thick skin to be in politics. But I'll just say there's a lot of people shouting, talking, discussing, and yet more than half of the people probably in this election, as much as we are seeing with the No Kings rally, as much as we are seeing with what's at stake for the governor's race, for the representatives in our own community that need that support, all the issues that we're talking about, less than half will probably turn in their ballots. And that is something that's really concerning. Now, I think we should have a marketplace of ideas. We should have both parties and independents bringing forward, here's my experience, here's who I am, and here's what I want to do for you. And I think that's great. We should have that competition. Yes. If the reason one party wins versus the other is because more people just turned out for them, that to me is not the best way. We need to make sure that everybody is encouraged to vote. And I'll say this too, there's probably people that are going to watch this that are not going to vote for me, who are Republicans or who are independents. I will throw out, Republicans have been a key part of helping to elect me up in Tuolumne County. There's no mathematical way I couldn't have won without folks who crossed over and said, the person is sometimes more important than the party. But cast your ballot. You don't have to vote for me. But if you don't vote whatsoever, you are not participating in this. You can't go online and be the most passionate advocate with all the opinions, with all the things you want to see done, and then not do the one basic responsibility that we all have as citizens. And it's not to try and make you feel guilty. You should feel good about this, because when that candidate wins, you know that you were a part of something, of actually getting some real change in there. In this race in particular, I think some of the defining things about my candidacy, one, I have the lived experience, but also the professional experience, I think, to be a good representative for this district. It's true, and I think you hit on it too. An impolite way of saying it is, I know that I look kind of Republican. I come from a mountain area that is not diverse. It's a pretty much white community, right? I mean, that's all. Going to UC Merced was eye-opening for me. I think when you come from a small town, as they say, everybody's born ignorant, but it's a choice to stay ignorant. Going to UC Merced, I met people of so many different backgrounds from across the state. I got involved in a community that was different than mine, where it was not the ethnic and racial kind of majority there. It was very much people from all different backgrounds. That was so incredible to me, and it was eye-opening. And bringing that back up and home, it was, I think, helped with what my mom and my dad gave me, to be able to empathize and find common ground with folks. I'm asking for the privilege to be able to serve you, because I'm also much more like, I think, any other person in the district. I drive a used car. I've lost my rental before. I've been kicked out and not known where I'm going to go to. I've struggled to buy a house. I've been on wait lists for public housing for 3 years in the past. I wasn't hungry as a kid or anything like that, but we certainly didn't have money, go on a lot of vacations, or be able to put money away for a college fund. I'm still paying off my college debt. When I ran for the board, I took a pay cut, and I've done this full time because my constituents deserve my full attention. And I do so and make it work. I finally bought a house 50-50 with my buddy. I rent 4 rooms in it so that I can pay for my fire insurance and my mortgage, right? That's the type of energy that I bring. Beyond having that, being the only born and raised local candidate to the district, starting in my own backyard to try and fix my community first, and now just asking to expand that community that I'm fighting for. I'm also the only locally elected official in the race. And as you know, there is a lot of policy and background, especially as a freshman legislator. You can get stuff done, but you have to make sure you know what you're trying to do and how to do it. And you surround yourself with good people, and you know the leaders of the district. I'm the only locally elected candidate in this race, and I've been doing this full time for 6 years. So I have this interesting spot of being 34, a much younger candidate. I would be one of the youngest candidates in the state legislature. And yet I bring to bear, for a candidate in a race like this, a substantial amount of public policy experience at the local level in a rural jurisdiction that doesn't have hundreds of millions of dollars extra to kind of pad over problems. We have to figure it out. I know the problems firsthand because we're the ones that get hit twice as hard by it. That's the experience we need in Sacramento: authenticity and effectiveness.
Well, Jaren, thank you very much. I really appreciate the time. I know this was almost very last minute, with organized within the last few days, but I think it was important for to give our voters in your district and everybody else's district to get to know just a little bit more about not necessarily just what the candidates are proposing, but who they are, where they come from, and really to see that they're just like us. You guys are just like every other individual that is sitting at home watching this right now. So I really appreciate the time, and until next time.
Thank you so much, Jose. I appreciate it, and I'll tell you, I should stop saying if, but when we win in the primary, when we win in November, what I'm going to be focused on is I want people to see that these policies are helping to reduce their insurance, their health care, their food costs, that we're making sure our groundwater is clean, we're getting investments. Some people say, why does it matter? Billions of dollars is potentially at stake, depending on who we send to Sacramento to go fight for those interests there. So it's a pleasure, and I greatly appreciate you creating this opportunity to talk with voters and all of your support as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Hasta la próxima.
Bye-bye.
Till next time. Bye-bye.